Have you ever wondered how to hire someone? Well, if you clicked on this video, you probably have. So we're going to go over that. In today's video, we're going to go over the framework behind how to hire someone. Not necessarily the questions to ask during the interview process. Might make a video on that later. Please let me know if that's something you'd like to see. But this is going to be about the framework in order to hire the right person for the job you need filled. So today we're going to be going through the 8 steps necessary that you should do to build the framework to hire the right person. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to take internal stock. What pain are you trying to alleviate? What problem are you trying to solve? What gap is there that needs to be filled? Until you actually know exactly what that is, you're kind of just guessing on someone just left the company and so we should probably get someone else to come in. Before you just put the same ad out there that you've already used to hire the first person, I want you to really sit back and I want you to take actual notes. Type it up, write it down. I'm a big fan of actually physically writing it, but whatever's convenient for you. I want you to actually write down what they did and what isn't being done now that they're gone. If you skip step 1, you're just going to end up hiring the wrong person, or maybe not the wrong person, but probably for the wrong role, which is going to lead into point number 2. Point number 2 is going to be make sure you're actually filling a gap and not covering up incompetence. I'll say it again. Make sure you're filling a gap and not covering up someone else's lack of work. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say you own a store and you have 3 people working in the restocking department, and all 3 of them are able to get the job done. They are doing a good job. They're doing just fine. One of them moves off to college. The Staples easy button is just, hey, one person moved off to college. It's time to hire someone to fill his role. But since we've been smart and we've done step 1, which is take internal evaluations, then we could find out that, hey, actually the 3 people are doing it before. Now that one person's gone, the 2 people are actually doing just fine. They don't necessarily need someone else to join them. They have enough hours, they're gainfully employed, and they're doing just fine. That's the best case scenario. The other version is one person leaves because the other people aren't doing their job. And if you just hire someone else to come in, they're eventually going to pick up on, oh, I'm just covering for this other person who isn't doing their job. Those things are pretty noticeable. People catch on to that, and people don't like to work for organizations that will just hire you to make up for someone else not doing their job. So that's really what I mean by making sure you're filling a gap and not covering up a problem or someone else's inability or unwillingness to do the job they're hired to do. Moving on to step 3. Step number 3 is going to be defining the role. Now that we've step 1, taken internal inventory, step 2, make sure we're actually filling a gap and not covering up for incompetence. Now we're going to outline the role. We want to be very specific here. We don't want to leave a lot of vagueness. We don't want it to be a lot of fluff words. We want it to be very specific, and we want to lay out what's going to be like day to day. Day-to-day tasks are going to be a huge element of this. Another part of it is going to be let people know what progression looks like. Let them know, we're hiring you for a janitorial position, and within 6 months, if you're doing a good job, then there's a potential a managerial position for that facility or another facility. Or maybe that's just that's the job. You're a fry cook, and that's okay. That's fine. But people want to know, and you should make it clear for them. So define that role specifically, take as much vagueness out of it, let people know the day-to-day job they're going to be doing, because that is going to give them certainty, and you're going to attract the right people that way too. You're not going to get people that are looking for a job that you're not hiring for. So be specific in the day-to-day description of what that is and what it'll turn into as well. Additionally, you want to write down and specify what kind of skills, tools, certifications, degrees, and things like that you want this person to have. You're not going to be able to find the right person if you haven't outlined this specifically. So the more detail you can give and the more clear you can be about what this person should be able to accomplish, the better it's going to be and the better candidates you're going to have actually applying for the job itself. Moving right along to step number 4. Step number 4 is going to be knowing your audience, finding out who actually works these jobs. Let's go back to our restock example. A lot of the people who are going to be working those kind of jobs are going to be high school kids, college kids, people who are just looking for some extra side cash. Not always, but generally. So they're going to value flexible schedules a lot more than they're going to necessarily value, a dental program or things of those natures. The other aspect to keep in mind is what market rates are for pay. So know what the normal value is for that person at that skill level. So If the normal value is X and you're only paying Y to pay them hourly or salary, well, if it's more than that, great, you should be expecting more. If it's less than that, you can't necessarily expect them to perform or want to stick around at a high level or for a long time if you're not willing to pay them what they're worth or what the market value is. So knowing those kind of factors, who's applying, who's working these jobs, is really going to set you apart and make it more realistic so you can look for the right candidate to meet that goal. The next thing we're going to talk about is driving cross-functional synergistic alignment to maximize stakeholder value. I don't know what I just said. So point number 5 is going to be avoid jargon. Speak simply. The job description should not require AI to translate what they're actually being hired for. So let me give you an example. If I told you right now for $20 an hour, I'm hiring a fast-paced, real-time, oil-based kitchen workflow expert, would you take it? I mean, you don't really know what that is. It's a fry cook, guys. We can just say we're hiring a fry cook. You can just say I'm hiring a plumber. You can just say I'm hiring a data analyst. These are okay. The more you inflate jargon with proficiency, the more people just get confused and they're not really sure what exactly they're there to fulfill. So clarity comes through simplicity. Albert Einstein has a great quote. It's attributed to him at least, saying, make things as simple as possible and no simpler. So let's stick with that model. Be clear in what you're looking for, who you're hiring. They will self-filter that way too, because they know what they're hiring for. They know the job, and then they can actually apply for the ones that are suited to them and not just throw darts at the board and hopefully they get hired because they like the pay or it sounded fancy. So again, step 5 is just speak English and people will appreciate it. Moving right along, we have step number 6. Now, 1 through 5 is all prep work. That's going to be everything that needs to be done before the actual interview. Step 6 is the interview itself. And you guys have all done the prep work because you've followed right along, you've liked, you've shared, you've subscribed, you sent a comment, and we've done all the homework leading up to the interview. So step 6 itself is the interview, and I'm going to be doing a whole deep dive analysis on do's, don'ts, best impressions, best first practices, things like that later on. So check back in the channel here soon to kind of view that video and deep dive into the interview process itself. So for now, this is more of a placeholder. Just say this is where you do the interview, and then you move on to step 7, which we're going to get to right now. Now, step 7 is going to be the review of candidates. Now, what I mean by that is after you've done a few iterations of interviews and you've kind of seen the quality and the caliber of candidates that are showing up to the interviews itself, let's say you found the right candidate right away and you were able to hire them and move them along. Perfect. Go ahead and skip to step 8. If not, this is where step 7's review comes in. A big portion of this step is just going to be looking at realistically who's showing up. If it's the kind of people that you want, but maybe you just haven't found the right person yet that's going to fit, perfect. Don't change a thing. Keep going. On the other hand, let's say that they're just not the caliber or the kind of people you are looking for to fill this role. So that's where it's going to come in, where you're going to start looking at a few things. Some of the things you're going to start looking at are going to be, hey, is my job description adequate enough? Are they showing up thinking it's one thing, but you're actually hiring for another? So again, this goes back to the fry cook. If you just say I'm hiring a fry cook, but they show up thinking you're hiring a shelf stocker, well, then that's just a miscommunication somewhere. Second is going to be, are you offering the correct amount of money for the position you're hiring for? If not, this is going to be very apparent for the people that show up and the quality of work that they're willing to do. So just realistically, if you're looking for a high performer, then you're going to need to pay for that performance. If they're going to be putting in hard work for you and filling that role, you should be expected to compensate them at a reasonable rate. So if you're not getting the candidates that you want, or they're just not willing to do the job description that you've put out for the rate you've listed for the job position, then this is something you really should be looking at and something you should be taking serious. Third, I would start looking at, have you over-credentialized the position? If you are requiring a doctorate degree, 10 years of experience, and 3 references from their middle school teacher for an entry-level job, once again, you might be just looking for too small of a pool to pull from. So be realistic in what the capabilities of the job that you're hiring for are, and make sure you're not over-credentializing for the position that you're trying to hire for. And finally, step 8 is the successful handoff from the hiring team to the onboarding team. This should be a very involved process. This should not be a simple email. This shouldn't be a quick note slipped to someone. This needs to be a face-to-face meeting or a very detailed form that's filled out that's handed off to the onboarding team. Best case scenario is face-to-face with notes. And if you'd like an example of what that form should look like, feel free to reach out. Head over to my website. It's going to be in the description below, but it's cad2group.com. Book an appointment, and I'd love to help you out with that, whether it's refining the system you have or giving you one that you can kind of use for your own. Again, the information that is being conveyed in this form can be broken down to the 5 who, what, when, where, why. Who is going to be the basic administrative information of who was just hired. The what is what position were they hired for. The when is when was it agreed upon that they would start. Where do they meet them? The why is why were they hired? Maybe there was a gap that's being filled and the onboarding team needs to know that. Or maybe you picked up some other notes that you can pass on to them. So this form is not necessarily like a hard rule to go by, but it's just conveying as much information as possible to the onboarding team so that when they're received and when they start the training process, they're fully prepared to do the best job they can in hiring and training them when it comes to starting the job. So that's it. Those are the steps. If you can go through and follow those 8 steps, and if you need to, go back, watch it again, write them down, turn it into an actual system. But if you can follow those 8 steps, you'll change your hiring process from hiring whoever shows up to specifically targeting and attracting the people who are going to do you the best service. So thank you again for watching. Be good. God bless. I'll see you in the next one.